Welcome everybody to our Podtagious podcast. This is Contagious Games, and we have Kyle, Todd, and Matt with us today.
Hello.
Hello.
So, our first topic will be about Star Citizen, which is the highest grossing crowd-funded project of all time. It's a, what do you call those? The space flight shooters?
It is a space flight shooter. Yes, that's exactly what they're called. It's a space combat shooter,
Yeah.
and
what
we
did
haven't
the
had them since the 90s.
what
They
did the
died.
developer work on before
He was a wing commander guy,
Wing Commander? Yeah, that's
if I
what it was.
recall. Which I recently finished Wing Commander 4. I have to say X-Wing was always better. I have to be a snob about that, but I am glad to see this genre come back, and I hope that it brings this genre back to life because
Yeah.
it's been gone for way too long.
Yeah, I never really got into it back in the day. I think that the only one I played was Descent, and that was third person. That was
Descent was more like Doom, but
Yeah.
I guess it kind of fit
yeah.
with that. But Descent's another one I'd like to see come back, but I don't think our controllers can handle it.
But yeah, Star Citizen, it's gonna be PC only, and he's gonna push the limits of graphics just like Crysis did back in the day.
Hopefully they get some good gameplay in there. I was excited to see that the Oculus Rift worked, or they were planning to put that in there.
Are they? Okay, I didn't see that in their video.
I thought I had read something about that because it really fits. We talked about this. How it doesn't quite work for a first-person shooter, but it would be perfect for a flight sim.
Yeah, I was watching the crowdfunding video that they had up on their website, and they didn't once mention the Oculus Rift, and I was like, "You're gonna support that, right?"
I thought I had read something somewhere. If not, it was somebody else's setup. But they would be stupid not to support that because that would be really cool to be able to look around your cockpit.
Yeah. Have you seen the video?
I've seen some of the footage. I don't know if I saw the video that you were looking at.
Yeah, it's just on their website. He brings you through the prototype, but it's using assets that he's going to use in the final game, and
Okay.
he's putting so much detail and work into every single model in the game. So the person has a really fleshed out model, the aircraft has a really fleshed out model, and the giant aircraft carrier that your craft is on has a fleshed out model, and it looks intense.
Excellent. I Even though that I know that the crowdfunding was to put it on the PC, we have a real problem in this world, or just the gamer world, where everybody is just so narrowed down to only a handful of different genres, and that's one of the reasons that this type of genre died. So it would be nice if after it's all said and done, they've made their money, they dominate. It would be really cool if they could actually put it on a console just to get something new and fresh to a different genre of gamer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen, but it would be nice.
Yeah, I think it's a little too graphical to put on a console.
You could scale that
There's
all
the
back.
new consoles coming out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
It wouldn't fit on an Xbox or a 360, but maybe a One or a PS4.
Yeah.
So, just because it's kind of interesting, you guys were talking about last week with the DRM change for Microsoft. So you no longer have to know somebody for 30 days before you can loan them your video game. You don't have to keep your console on. So the Flame Wars have changed after that got announced. So with that, my hygienist is the wife of the Forza designer.
That's pretty cool.
So, and I just went in recently and chatted with her. And so it was kind of interesting. He's very busy, of course, because they are trying to get the game out with the Xbox One's launch, which makes sense. But one of the things that all of the haters and everybody yelling and screaming, though I was against the DRM stuff, one of the things people don't think about is the poor developer, because the developers who are working on these games are designing them to be connected to the Xbox for 24 hours a day, which allows them to do the world changes and not just the updates, but kind of the live altercation of the world. So the one of the biggest problems they're having is that they designed their game and it's supposed to be polished at this point, like they're polishing it up. And right now they've got to change everything because it was all built to be running 24 hours a day on everybody's system.
No way.
So it's kind of interesting because it's not something we think about. Everybody was very angry and yelling and screaming and trolling, and nobody thinks about the developer and what they have to go through with the design change when Microsoft makes such a big policy change.
Does that come
So,
from their whole plan to have the avatar driver?
well, she didn't get into major details about it. It's just all of the games were intentionally designed to be on that 24-hour connected platform. I mean, they were designed to be that way. Now all of a sudden, it's you don't connect 24 hours a day, and so everything's just different. And so I didn't get massive details, but that probably is one of the issues.
Interesting. Because I don't really see how it could affect normal gameplay.
But think of the not the normal gameplay, but the design of the game and how it operates. It probably will have a lot of what is that? There was an open world racer paradise, something
Yeah.
something paradise,
Burnout Paradise?
Burnout Paradise, where like the whole world was kind of living,
Yeah.
and I could see. Yet again, I don't know if that's exactly what it's going to do or not, but I could see them having an open world that was living.
So
And
constantly updating it
yeah, and
because
so
everybody's connected to the internet.
yeah, I could see, though it's just a racing game. I could see where their initial design was to take advantage or to just to use all of that, and now it's no longer there. So,
Interesting.
um, yeah, and so I thought that was interesting because we don't think about that design wise. You don't contemplate what the designers have to go through now that the DRM rules changed.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's going to get easier to develop for PCs in the next generation than it is consoles.
It's hard to say. I don't know if the PlayStation 4 is going to have its own unique uh, computer language, whereas for the Wii and the 360, they both used C sharp.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of people knew how to do that. Where this new generation, I'm not quite sure if Microsoft would be stupid to use their own proprietary coding system, since they're the ones fighting for the .NET framework. But I think that would be a big deal if the companies chose their own proprietary scripting. It's going to slow people down, and
Yeah.
I don't know for the PS4. Although apparently programming for the PS3 and the Vita are nearly identical, so I'm assuming the Vita has its own proprietary Sony language.
Yeah, and Sony just announced that they have a PSN Indies game section coming
That's
for
right.
Vita,
Got their own indie channel. I saw that the other day.
which is pretty
So
badass.
it's good, but yet again, we've talked about the how Sony's been falling behind and Nintendo's been falling behind, and so both of them have really opened up to the indie world. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping with how we're so stuck with the same games being repeated over and over again. I'm kind of hoping the indies really start booming and we start seeing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's
It
good
is
for
kind of
us.
yeah,
It is good for us.
it is kind of frustrating to constantly see the same exact game designs come out a year after year, like Call of Duties and casual games and stuff.
Yeah, I mean we love them, but it's nice to have something a little different now and then.
Yeah.
You can't eat Cheetos 24 hours a day.
Well, some people can.
Well, they can last for a really long time, but it's good to switch it up. You could have Doritos once in a while
But
and still have your Cheetos.
but we saw this with the whole Xbox scenario where people are afraid to revolutionize.
Oh, yeah. Well, since I wasn't available, my biggest problem with the Microsoft DRM is that once the console is no longer able to connect to the servers, so let's say not now, not 10 years from now, but 20 years from now, you're like, God, man, I really enjoyed Halo 5 and I just want to play through it again. You cannot put your disc in the Xbox and fire it up because it won't run. Like it is planned obsolescence,
Yeah.
which is actually what Capcom did with their CPS2 motherboards for which was the Street Fighter era of arcade games, or Street Fighter 2 era. They designed the motherboards to have a battery in them, and when the battery died, that battery kept a little piece of computer code in memory. But when the battery died, that code was lost, and then you'd have to get Capcom to pay, or you had to pay them to put a new battery in and a new code. And the reason they did that, if you remember, you started seeing Street Fighter, Street Fighter Turbo, Street Fighter Championship Turbo. Like you started seeing the same game with little variations, and they designed it so that the old games would die, and people would just, it was just easier to buy a newer one instead of keeping the old one around.
Yeah.
So I think Microsoft was planning for the same thing, because then they could sell you all of the Xbox One games on whatever the hell the next system's going to be.
Xbox 2.
I hope, yeah. Hopefully, it won't be the Xbox 2, but we'll see.
It's the 2 of everything in your room.
Just call it 2. Get rid of Xbox. It's just 2.
2.
All right. Matt, did you ever play F-Zero?
No.
No. Okay. Great. All
Wait,
right.
that's
So
the futuristic racing game?
yeah, Nintendo's racing game.
I played it once, but I don't remember very much.
Okay.
I played the original for a little bit.
Since I thought this was interesting because Miyamoto is unsure of what to do with the F-Zero franchise, and that's unfortunate you guys haven't played the GameCube or arcade. Did you play the arcade one?
No, just the
Everyone
one on
downtown
the
Seattle? Okay.
Nintendo.
Anyways, he's not quite sure what to do with it. Fans want a new one, and Nintendo's kind of suffering. I know they have their lineup, but if you really look at the Wii U, we're getting a new Zelda game on the Wii U, but it's just a remake. So you're not really getting a new game. You're just getting a prettier version. Smash Brothers will be great, though. So anyways, I wanted to play with the idea because he was unsure what to do with F-Zero, but you guys are at least aware that it's a kind of a fast-paced racing game.
Yep.
So throwing out there, what would be fun? What could they do to do something different, or I guess something different with F-Zero? If it was your license and you're given this game.
Honestly, is it really a question of what you can do with it? Because look at how many racing games out there have sequels. Forza has a bunch of sequels. Gran Turismo has a bunch of sequels. I don't understand what his difficulty is with making another one.
You're right. He could actually, and Mario Kart has done this, where the one on the Wii it was like basically Double Dash. They had a lot of the same levels, and it's like the exact same game engine. You can feel it. So you're right. They could probably just add a couple of new tracks and charge you another $60 and be good to go. But besides doing that, could there be something that might be fun to do in the world?
Adding RPG elements.
That's actually something I was going to discuss. You're right. RPG elements I think would actually be fantastic. A long time ago on the TurboGrafx machine, there was a racing game called Twin Lap, which as a racer wasn't really that good of a racing game. But one of its elements is that it had a story mode, which was completely revolutionary at the time. And it kind of was like a mix between role-playing and racing, but instead of going into combat, you would race because that's what the game was about.
One-on-one?
So, the game was designed to be a two-player split-screen racing game, and it always played with two screens. So when you bumped into people, they would sit there, oh, there you are, I've been looking for you, let's race. Basically it'd be that sort of thing. And then you go right into a race, which is absurd when you think about it, but in general, it was actually very rewarding because you had the leveling up ability, you had this open world, you could go wherever you wanted to, you had missions, you had things you had to do. So it took what was just kind of a straight racing game into something more exciting. So I was wondering if Nintendo could twist that. Did you either of you guys play Custom Robo?
Um,
Nope.
no.
Oh, shame on you. That was a great one that they never continued. Um, all right. Well, you've played Pokemon, I hope.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, Custom Robo is Pokemon, except for when you get into battles, you actually fight your robot that you put together.
Interesting.
Yes, go play Custom Robo, you too. Um, it's a good one. So, or you don't have to play it too long, just play it for a little bit. So, I thought it would be interesting if they had a persistent world. Now, in Custom Robo, they had these little machines that you would stand next to, and then you could fight. You could talk to somebody and say, "I want to fight you," and then you'd fight it in this little hollow machine or hologram machine. So you could set it up so that it was more of a virtual race, or it could even be like, kids in the remote control cars. So you could actually have this persistent role playing world, this open world. It could even be an MMO,
Yeah.
except for you would get into the races with these people and then, make money and level up your car or whatever the hell. I think that would be kind of cool. I don't
Yeah.
think Nintendo has the gumption to do something like that, but
Yeah. Another thing that I think would be cool to add to the F-Zero series would be the building your car or fixing up your car aspects from the old racing games
oh
where
yeah,
you like pick your wheels and you put wheels on it or you pick your
gears
engine.
and
Yeah.
motors, yeah,
So
all
you can
that stuff.
tweak all that stuff. So a lot of customization would be kind of cool in the F-Zero franchise.
You could even do your custom artwork with the little Wii U screen. You could draw your images.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you guys haven't really played much. I was going to ask if you would think if it would ruin the game to add weapons.
It might if they're too extreme. Like if they're twisted metal weapons, I think that would absolutely break the game. But if they're
Probably be more like what
Mario
is that?
Kart,
Mario Kart, yeah.
Like more subtle. I'm trying to think of the Sony game that's a big racer. It's the same thing pretty much. Oh, Wipeout.
oh,
And
the
when that
the
racer on the Sony machine, yeah.
is that the Ski-Doo racer? Or no,
No,
no.
you're like a futuristic
Yeah,
wing
okay,
is
okay.
what you look like.
Yeah. Never played it.
Okay. God, shame on you guys. You
I
got some
played
homework to
I,
do on this one.
I played a lot of Zero G,
Oh yeah, yeah.
whatever it was called, where you went like 14 million miles an hour.
Oh yeah. It's funny how you just change a number and everything's different, right? Yeah, it's kind of like that. And I think that game had weapons, if I recall.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's been a long time. I have it, but holy crap, been a very long time. There were better games on the N64, so we played those.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think was interesting about the GameCube F-Zero is you could take your memory card to the arcade and you could plug it in and get like extra unlockables if you did well in the arcade,
Nice.
which I thought was kind of a neat idea. Now we no longer have memory cards, so it really wouldn't quite work
Well, we don't
anymore.
have arcades either, so.
No. Well, they're still kind of out there, but mostly they're dead. So
So what do you think about Mirror's Edge 2 being a reboot?
I wish it wasn't a reboot, but
Really?
I know that since it's a reboot, it will be different, I hope.
Yeah.
I am very tired of the remakes of everything.
Yeah.
I'm
It
really
seems
tired of it.
seems really soon, but I don't know. I don't really understand their explanation on why they're doing it, but it sounds like they're going to keep a lot of the old game at least.
I'm glad they're making another one, but I really wish it was a sequel, or what they should have done is they should have called it Mirror's Edge with some other caption so it wasn't necessarily number two.
Yeah. I guess that falls along the same lines as Prey 2 being its own
Yes.
game completely, and BioShock Infinity really is its own game as well, but that
Yeah.
wasn't in the numerical order.
I think that's
Same
what they should have
universe,
done.
different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really is the way they should have treated it. Because I support Mirror's Edge because it took that first-person shooter genre but gave you something a little bit different, so you're not just playing Call of Duty again.
Yeah. It was really fun.
I did see what you mentioned. Prey 2, apparently the designers are very upset because it's looking like crap in comparison to what they really wanted it to look like.
Yeah.
So they were very frustrated. The designers are very frustrated because they've been working really hard to make that a bang-up game, and it's not looking. Hopefully, it doesn't go aliens, colonial marines on our ass. But
Or Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
colonial marines really suffered with the polish of the look. It was pretty bad. So, yeah. Anyways, I I have not played the game. I know you have. Was the story, if they deviated from the story, would it be a problem for you, Kyle?
Uh,
I thought you
what?
played the game.
Sorry, I was
Did you
busy. What?
play Mirror's Edge?
I did play Mirror's Edge. I played the
Okay,
crap out of it.
played the crap out of it. If they completely changed the characters and such, would that be a problem if the gameplay was identical?
No, absolutely
Okay,
not.
good. Okay.
They said it's going to be more open world, which I really, really liked the world of Mirror's Edge, so I'm excited to see the whole world.
So you can kind of go where you want.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that they're taking out the whole time racing
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
that's probably good. I'm usually annoyed by those. You only have so much time to finish something.
I was a big fan of those. I liked because it wasn't part of the main game. It was just something extra you
Oh,
could
there's
do.
side
Yeah,
missions.
yeah. After you beat the game, you could just go back and try to do a time trial throughout the chapters, and it was really fun to get those things, and then the whole bag hunting through the levels I thought was kind of cool, but I don't know.
Well, I support another one coming out. Hopefully they don't botch it. But we have a problem where we keep rebooting things. I mean,
Yep.
how many times have we seen the same Superman story over and over and over again? I know that the movies are great and they're really fun to watch, but wouldn't it be nice to have that quality of movie with a different or not a different villain, just to give us something different.
Yeah, I was what there's this website called like Everything is a Remake or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really intriguing website. It's a 5-part documentary or something like that. I watched it a long time ago. And he just explains how literally everything in the entire artists or writers and movies and all this stuff is all just remakes of stuff back in the day.
All art gets recycled all the time.
Yep.
That's why you got to do your research. Do you have another subject for us, Kyle?
So at PAX East, they had this. I talked about this in an earlier podcast. They had the indie mega booth where they had a
Oh, yeah.
huge section of indie games, and apparently that is only getting more and more popular now. They have run out of space for indie developers because there was a lot more applications this year than they expected. They have to increase. It's kind of like they have to have their own indie convention inside of PAX itself.
I think they should have their own indie convention. It would be
Yeah.
nice. It would be nice to see that, to finally see more free thinking games that are a little different than
Yeah.
Call of Duty 18.
Yeah, a lot of really cool games come out of that section of PAX, and it's really cool to walk around and see all the little indie games and play them. And because most of the time, the indie games don't have big lines like AAA
Oh
titles
god,
do,
yeah.
and so it's much easier to walk through and just walk up to a game and play it. So
Or like Last of Us at PAX last year that had like a 3 or 4 hour wait,
yeah,
and all it was a video.
yep,
It's like, okay, it's kind of cool to see that, but you waited 4 hours to watch a 10-minute movie.
yep,
So yeah, and this is good. When you go there, you're actually meeting the developers usually when they don't have a big team of marketing people. So it's kind of nice. You can talk to the actual creators, and
yeah,
I think that's a more personable thing than if you go wait 4 hours to see the Last of Us video, there's some guy getting paid to show you the Last of Us video, and that's about his connection with the game.
yep. Yeah, I think game conventions are getting to be kind of the whole arcade experience that we had back in the day.
Yeah, it's just a big mark fest. It's a big advertising, like you're actually paying to observe an advertisement, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get a free t-shirt out of it and you forget that you paid to get there. All right. So, Matt, do you have anything for us?
Not really, no.
Not really.
Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to discuss was the MOBA genre. You know what that is?
MOBA. I probably do know what it is, but not
It's
by
the,
that name.
it's the
League of
Monsters. Yeah,
Legends.
League of Legends.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Monsters Battle Arena. There's a lot of those coming out nowadays, and I'm curious as to why game companies haven't put the MOBA genre into their own game. Like for example, they could put MOBA into an MMO and have it as like a PvP aspect, or because
Well, you and I were talking about this pre-podcast. Unfortunately, we don't have the pre-podcast, but there was a long time ago, back in the dark ages, on the Commodore 64, EA actually produced a bunch of games that were about creation. And so one of them was mail order monsters, and the whole game was designed around building up this monster and then going out and battling it. We've lost that creation aspect, and we have narrowed ourselves down to role-playing games that are familiar to other role-playing games, first-person shooters that are familiar to other first-person shooters, real-time strategy games that are familiar to other real-time strategy games. And I feel that League of Legends threw something in that was different, and people really took to it.
yep,
But I fear that we may see more of these games, but it's very difficult to get gamers to invest their money into something that's not what they recognize.
yeah, that's true.
So it's tough. I think it's and League of Legends was lucky because like they offered a really good game and people took to it because it was something a little bit different than
Yeah,
WoW or Call of Duty.
yep.
So hopefully we see some of that. I would love to see mail order monsters come back.
Yeah, a lot of arena games I think would be a good comeback in general.
So we have Smash Brothers and we have karate games, and unfortunately, I think that would be the closest you could get to arena styled games
Yeah,
for more mainstream.
because I was also a big fan of the Unreal games. Loved those games,
Oh yeah.
but those died. So
Well, they realize there's more money to be made in just selling your engine than making Unreal.
yeah, and they're successful because of it. But
Yeah.
those games were fun.
All right. So is it that time again?
Yeah, Matt,
All right.
you want to sign us out?
This
Give us
is
our last
Contagious Games. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.